In a dramatic return to the White House, Donald Trump was inaugurated on January 20, 2025, marking his second term as the 47th President of the United States. This momentous occasion attracted thousands of supporters and a slew of high-profile guests, all gathered in the nation's capital despite frigid temperatures that necessitated a shift of some events indoors. The inauguration not only signaled a transition of power from Joe Biden back to Trump but also set the stage for a flurry of executive actions that promised to reshape American policy on numerous fronts. The day commenced with Trump attending a service at St. John's Church, followed by a meeting with the Bidens at the White House. The formal swearing-in ceremony took place in the rotunda of the U.S. Capitol, where Trump delivered his inaugural address, outlining his vision for America's future and emphasizing a golden age for the nation. "The golden age of America begins right now," he proclaimed, vowing that his administration would restore the country's respect on the global stage. In a departure from traditional inauguration festivities, the cold weather led to the cancellation of the usual parade down Pennsylvania Avenue. Nevertheless, the day featured musical performances from artists like Carrie Underwood and Lee Greenwood, with Underwood expressing her honor to participate in such a historic event. As the evening unfolded, Trump attended 3 inaugural balls, continuing to rally support and celebrate his return to power. However, the initial euphoria of the inauguration quickly gave way to a series of contentious executive orders that sparked significant debate across the political landscape. Among the most controversial was Trump's decision to pardon approximately 1,500 individuals convicted of crimes related to the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot. This sweeping clemency, which included notable figures like Enrique Tarrio and Stewart Rhodes, has drawn sharp criticism from law enforcement officials and lawmakers who view it as undermining the rule of law. Additionally, Trump moved to dismantle key elements of the Biden administration's policies, signing executive orders aimed at curtailing birthright citizenship and placing all federal employees involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) programs on administrative leave. In a memo from the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, agencies were instructed to submit plans for the dismissal of DEI employees, a move that White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt described as a promise kept in returning to a merit-based society. Environmental policies were also a focal point of Trump's early actions as he directed efforts to expand oil and gas drilling in Alaska, drawing applause from state leaders but ire from environmental advocates. The consequences of these policy reversals are expected to ignite legal challenges and protests from various advocacy groups. As Trump's administration settles into its new terms, the repercussions of these early executive actions will likely shape national discourse and political strategies moving forward. With promises of infrastructure investments in artificial intelligence and plans to significantly alter immigration policies, the next several months will be crucial in determining the impact of Trump's presidency on both domestic and international fronts. In the coming days, as Congress and state governments respond to these sweeping changes, the political landscape will undoubtedly become more polarized. The ramifications of Trump's decisions will unfold, and the country may find itself at a crossroads that tests the resilience of its democratic institutions and social fabric. The path ahead remains fraught with challenges. But for Trump and his supporters, the inauguration marks the beginning of what they hope will be a transformative second term. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the cryptocurrency and legal communities alike, former President Donald Trump has granted a full pardon to Ross Ulbricht, the founder of the infamous Silk Road marketplace. This decision, announced on January 21, 2025, marks a significant chapter in the ongoing dialogue about digital currencies, online privacy, and the intersection of technology and law enforcement. Silk Road, which operated from 2011 to 2013, was a groundbreaking platform that facilitated the buying and selling of illicit goods, primarily narcotics, using Bitcoin as its currency. The marketplace reportedly generated over $200 million in sales, drawing the ire of law enforcement and leading to Ulbricht's arrest and subsequent conviction on multiple charges, including conspiracy to commit money laundering, conspiracy to commit computer hacking, and conspiracy to traffic narcotics. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, a punishment that has been widely debated and criticized. In a post on Truth Social, Trump expressed his support for Ulbricht, stating, "I just called the mother of Ross William Ulbricht to let her know that in honor of her and the libertarian movement which supported me so strongly, it was my pleasure to have just signed a full and unconditional pardon of her son Ross." This statement not only reflects Trump's political alignment with libertarian principles but also highlights his recognition of Ulbricht as a figure within the cryptocurrency community, often viewed as a martyr for online privacy rights. The implications of this pardon are multifaceted. For supporters of Ulbricht, it represents a validation of their long-standing campaigns to free Ross, which have gained traction through online petitions and public demonstrations. Many in the cryptocurrency space regard Ulbricht as a visionary who played a pivotal role in Bitcoin's early adoption, and Trump's pardon could reinvigorate discussions about the potential for blockchain technology to foster decentralized private commerce. Conversely, critics of the pardon argue that it undermines the serious consequences of Ulbricht's actions, which prosecutors have linked to multiple deaths attributed to drug overdoses connected to Silk Road transactions. Trump's characterization of federal prosecutors as scum during his announcement further complicates the narrative, painting a contentious picture of the justice system's handling of tech-related crimes. As the cryptocurrency landscape continues to evolve, Ulbricht's pardon may signal a shift in public perception regarding the legal frameworks surrounding digital currencies and online marketplaces. With ongoing debates about regulation, privacy, and the role of government in the digital economy, the consequences of this pardon could resonate far beyond Ulbricht's case. It raises pressing questions about how society reconciles innovation with accountability and safety in an increasingly digital world. Looking ahead, the future of the Silk Road's legacy and its founders' newfound freedom will likely ignite further discussions about the balance between technological advancement and ethical governance. The cryptocurrency community, invigorated by Trump's endorsement, may push for more substantial reforms, while lawmakers and regulators will be compelled to consider how best to approach the complexities of digital commerce. As these dynamics unfold, the case of Ross Ulbricht will undoubtedly remain a focal point in the broader conversation about the implications of technology in society. In an unprecedented move that has sent shockwaves through the American legal and political landscape, President Donald Trump granted clemency to over 1,500 individuals charged in connection with the January 6, 2021 Capitol insurrection. This sweeping pardon, executed on Trump's first day back in office, has not only freed numerous rioters, including those convicted of violent offenses against law enforcement, but it has also prompted the dismissal of several ongoing cases related to the attack that shook the foundations of American democracy. As the dust settled on the Capitol on that fateful day, when a mob incited by Trump's false claims about the 2020 election stormed the legislative heart of the nation, more than 100 police officers were injured in the ensuing chaos. Yet, in a stark contrast to the severity of the events, Trump's clemency order has effectively nullified the largest prosecution in the history of the U.S. Justice Department. By Tuesday morning, the Federal Bureau of Prisons confirmed the release of all individuals in its custody for January 6 related offenses. A development that has left many observers grappling with the implications of such a radical shift in the handling of insurrection-related crimes. Trump, defending his decisions, characterized the conditions of the prisons as disgusting and inhumane, stating that the pardoned individuals had already served considerable time. However, this perspective has drawn criticism and concern. Historians and legal experts suggest that the pardons serve as a means for Trump to reshape the narrative around January 6, portraying the rioters as victims of political persecution rather than participants in a violent assault on democracy. Princeton historian Julian Zelizer remarked, "The implications are clear. Trump will go to great lengths to protect those who act in his name." The ramifications of Trump's actions extend far beyond the immediate release of rioters. The Justice Department, which had spent years meticulously investigating and prosecuting January 6 cases, is now faced with a wave of motions to dismiss pending cases. This has disrupted a court system that has been inundated with related proceedings, leading to an abrupt halt in what was once a bustling federal courthouse in Washington, D.C. Judge Colleen Kollar-Kotelly, among others, found herself in a courtroom that was notably silent, with jurors informed that they need not return. Among those released were prominent figures from far-right extremist groups, including Stuart Rhodes of the Oath Keepers and Enrique Tarrio of the Proud Boys, both previously convicted of seditious conspiracy. Their swift release has reignited debates about the normalization of extremist rhetoric and actions within American politics, as Trump suggested there could be a place for groups like the Proud Boys in the political arena moving forward. The celebration outside various detention centers was palpable, with supporters of the pardoned individuals gathering to express their relief and gratitude. Kevin Loftus, one of the pardoned rioters, expressed his disbelief, saying, "I'm just a working man, dude. People like us don't get presidential pardons." His statement highlighted the broader societal implications of these pardons and the potential normalization of extremist behavior within the political discourse. Critics of Trump's clemency orders have voiced alarm over the message it sends about accountability and the rule of law. Legal experts contend that such pardons undermine the justice system's efforts to address the unprecedented violence that occurred on January 6. John Pearson, attorney representing several defendants, remarked on the courage required for Trump to issue such widespread pardons, but he also acknowledged the contentious nature of this political maneuvering. As the nation grapples with the aftermath of these clemency decisions, the discourse surrounding January 6 and its implications for American democracy is far from over. The political landscape has shifted dramatically, with Trump's return to power marking a potential turning point in how the Justice Department operates and how insurrection-related events are perceived and addressed by both lawmakers and the public. Looking ahead, the implications of Trump's pardons will likely reverberate throughout the political sphere, influencing not only the handling of related legal cases but also the broader narrative around political violence in America. As the country continues to navigate this tumultuous chapter, the need for accountability, understanding, and a clear commitment to democratic values remains paramount. The unfolding dynamics will undoubtedly shape the trajectory of American politics in the years to come, raising critical questions about the nature of justice and the preservation of democratic norms. As President Donald Trump embarks on his new term, the economic landscape is poised for significant changes, particularly concerning trade policies and tariffs. In the wake of his inauguration, Trump has signaled a robust approach to tariffs, potentially reshaping the American economy and impacting consumer prices in the near future. With proposals such as a 60% tariff on goods from China and a flat 20% tariff on all imports, Americans are bracing for the possibility of increased costs on everyday items. Tariffs, essentially taxes imposed on imported goods, are not a novel concept. However, Trump's ambitious tariff plans could exacerbate inflationary pressures. Jean-Baptiste Wattier, an economic policy leader at Wattier Family Office, notes, "There is a quasi-consensus that Trump tariffs risk feeding inflation through increased production costs for imported goods." He emphasizes that a significant portion of consumer goods, particularly electronics and home appliances, are imported, which could lead to tangible price hikes for consumers. With these looming changes, financial experts are urging consumers to act quickly. Here are 5 categories of items that are recommended for purchase before potential tariffs take effect in 2025. First on the list are household appliances. Many of these essential items, from washing machines to refrigerators, are sourced from China. With tariffs potentially reaching 60%, now may be the opportune time to invest in these products before prices surge. Smaller appliances such as coffee makers and vacuum cleaners are also at risk of becoming more expensive. Electronics represent another significant area of concern. Laptops, phones, and televisions, which are heavily reliant on global supply chains, could see prices rise sharply as tariffs take hold. Consumers looking to upgrade their technology are advised to make purchases sooner rather than later to avoid inflated costs. Additionally, aluminum and steel products, often sourced from China, are likely to become pricier. These materials are integral to the manufacturing of cars and household goods, making it prudent for consumers to consider stocking up on items that utilize these raw materials. In parallel to the tariff discussions, President Trump has also taken steps to address inflation directly through executive orders aimed at reducing prices for American families. His recent order requires federal agencies to focus on lowering costs across various sectors, including housing and healthcare. Trump has attributed inflation to high federal spending and regulatory burdens imposed during the previous administration. However, critics argue that his approach lacks substance, with some economists pointing to deeper systemic issues such as corporate profiteering and supply chain disruptions as the true culprits behind rising prices. As Trump rolls out his initiatives, he acknowledges the challenges ahead. In a recent interview, he remarked, "I'd like to bring food prices down. It's hard to bring things down once they're up." This sentiment reflects the uphill battle he faces in tackling inflation while navigating complex economic realities. Looking forward, the interplay between Trump's tariff policies and his efforts to curb inflation will undoubtedly shape the economic climate in the coming years. As consumers prepare for potential price hikes, the effectiveness of Trump's strategies remains to be seen. Observers will be watching closely to determine whether his administration can deliver on promises of reduced costs while addressing the fundamental issues driving inflation. The coming months will be crucial as both consumers and policymakers respond to the evolving economic landscape under the Trump administration. In a politically charged atmosphere, allegations against Pete Hegseth, the nominee for Secretary of Defense, have cast a significant shadow over his confirmation process. Senators recently received a sworn affidavit from Danielle Hegseth, Pete's former sister-in-law, containing serious accusations regarding his behavior towards his second wife Samantha. This affidavit has raised alarms among lawmakers, particularly in light of previous reports alleging Hegseth's history of misconduct, including sexual assault and alcohol abuse. The affidavit emerged after Senator Jack Reed, the ranking Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee, sought a statement detailing any instances of abuse or misconduct related to Hegseth. Reed highlighted the need for a thorough investigation, stating the alleged pattern of abuse and misconduct by Mr. Hegseth is disturbing. This behavior would disqualify any service member from holding any leadership position in the military, much less being confirmed as the Secretary of Defense. This request was part of a broader concern over the adequacy of the background checks conducted prior to Hegseth's nomination. In her affidavit, Danielle Hegseth describes a troubling dynamic during Pete and Samantha's marriage, alleging that Samantha once hid in a closet out of fear for her safety. She further claims that Samantha devised escape plans, employing a code word to alert friends and family when she felt threatened. These allegations have drawn attention from at least 15 senators, including some from the Republican Party, who have reviewed the contents of the affidavit. Samantha Hegseth has publicly refuted these claims, asserting, "There was no physical abuse in my marriage," and emphasizing her decision not to comment further on personal matters. Pete Hegseth's attorney Tim Parlator dismissed Danielle's accusations, labeling her an anti-Trump far-left Democrat with a personal vendetta. He argued that the allegations lack credibility, pointing out that both Hegseth and Samantha had previously signed court documents affirming there was no domestic abuse in their marriage. The allegations outlined in the affidavit paint a picture of a tumultuous relationship characterized by emotional distress. Danielle stated, "I believe Hegseth has an alcohol abuse problem and was abusive to his ex-wife Samantha." She recounted instances of Hegseth's aggressive behavior, including incidents where he allegedly made misogynistic remarks and exhibited erratic conduct, all of which she claims to have witnessed firsthand. As the Senate prepares for a crucial vote on Hegseth's nomination, the implications of these allegations extend beyond personal matters. They raise critical questions about the military's leadership and the thoroughness of the vetting process for high-ranking officials. The FBI's background check has come under scrutiny, with Senator Reed expressing concerns that essential witnesses were not contacted during the investigation. In parallel to Hegseth's nomination saga, President Trump has taken bold steps concerning border security, pledging to designate drug cartels as terrorist organizations and invoking the Alien Enemies Act to facilitate aggressive actions against them. This initiative could significantly alter the scope of military involvement in border enforcement, a move that has sparked debate among lawmakers and experts regarding its legal implications and potential consequences. Representative Mikey Sherrill has introduced legislation aimed at protecting the National Guard from political interference, emphasizing the need to prevent the weaponization of military forces for political gain. Her efforts reflect growing concerns about the use of the military in domestic matters, especially in light of Trump's recent actions. As the Senate prepares for a vote on Hegseth's nomination and the implications of Trump's border security measures unfold, the political landscape remains fraught with tension. Both instances underscore the potential for significant shifts in U.S. military and domestic policy, suggesting that the coming weeks will be pivotal in determining the future of national security leadership and the role of the military in domestic affairs. As the geopolitical landscape shifts once again, the contrast between U.S. President Donald Trump and Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva underscores the complexities of international relations in 2025. Despite their starkly divergent political ideologies, the two leaders now find themselves at the helm of the largest economies in the Western Hemisphere, with a pressing need to navigate their differences for the sake of bilateral relations. At the forefront of their interaction will be critical issues such as the future of the BRICS alliance, the increasing influence of China in Latin America, and contrasting approaches to multilateral institutions and climate change. Lula, positioning himself as a leader of the Global South, advocates for a multipolar world that diminishes U.S. hegemony. In stark contrast, Trump has consistently voiced his desire to reinforce the U.S. as the paramount global leader, as exemplified by his recent warnings regarding the BRICS nations' intentions to move away from the dollar. The idea that the BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over, Trump asserted in a post on social media shortly after his election victory. Despite these ideological rifts, there may be common ground to explore. Both leaders appear to favor a swift diplomatic resolution to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, a position that could serve as a starting point for collaboration. The economic ties between Brazil and the U.S. are also noteworthy. Brazil's exports to the U.S. surged past $40 billion last year, indicating a mutual interest in maintaining functional relations. However, the road ahead is fraught with challenges. Brazilian diplomats express concerns about the potential for friction over geopolitical issues, trade disputes, and the influence of tech billionaires in U.S. policymaking, particularly in light of Elon Musk's prominent role in Trump's administration. Brazil's deepening ties with China, evident through recent agreements and state visits, are also likely to complicate matters, especially as the U.S. seeks to counter China's influence in the region. Trump's protectionist tendencies could pose a significant threat to Brazil's agricultural and energy sectors, especially given his history of using tariffs as leverage. This could hinder Lula's economic revitalization efforts ahead of Brazil's 2026 elections. Moreover, climate cooperation between the two countries faces a bleak outlook due to Trump's previous climate denial stances, raising concerns among Brazilian officials about the upcoming COP30 conference scheduled to take place in Belém, Brazil. Despite these hurdles, opportunities for collaboration exist. Brazil's vast reserves of critical minerals and rare earths could serve as a counterbalance to China's dominance in this sector. Additionally, ongoing discussions surrounding sustainable energy, particularly in green hydrogen development, may offer a platform for cooperation that aligns with both leaders' interests. As Trump seeks to leverage his relationships with global leaders, including a proposed enhanced role for China in resolving the Ukraine conflict, it remains to be seen how these dynamics will play out. The new administration's approach is expected to be characterized by unpredictability, which complicates the anticipation of future U.S.-Brazil relations. In this intricate web of diplomacy, the pressing question is whether the pragmatic need for cooperation will outweigh the ideological differences that divide Trump and Lula. While their initial interactions may be cautious, the potential for constructive dialogue could ultimately pave the way for a more stable and productive bilateral relationship. As both leaders navigate their respective political landscapes, the world will be watching closely for signs of progress or further discord.